What's up, everybody? This is the Matt Man here, and today I am joined by the Act Man. Oh, I'm pointing.
Oh my God!
How about that?
Wow, you just fuck. What's the word?
Come on.
Okay. Make sure you cut this. I'm trying to think of the.
You don't have to do it, man.
You just appropriated my intro. That's cultural appropriation, man. You can't be doing that.
Look, I'm trying to be my favorite man. Come on now. We're here.
You did good though, the Matt Man.
Yeah,
I like that.
I thought it fit. Thank you, bro. It's great to have you here. I know we pretty much had like a pre-podcast before our podcast, but we're here to talk about games we're looking forward to in 2025. I'm happy to have you here, dude. We had the Game Awards. We wanted to wait till at least after that because like 2025 had some highlights, but now it's looking pretty stacked. So I have games here I'm looking forward to, but I also have games that I'm calling morbidly curious about. As in like hype, not really, but like, hey, you could turn out pretty well. I would like to know where you'd like to start, sir. You are at least the guest here on my channel. I'd love to know, what game are you looking forward to start off 2025?
Ooh. Well, right off the rip, I mean, obvious choice being Doom: The Dark Ages. You slap a cape on Doom guy and it's all over. That's it. That's all you need. Just give him a cape. And he had that shield. I was kind of hoping we would have seen more Xbox stuff at the Game Awards. I don't think there was any. They had all those commercials of like,
they remind you.
In Xbox is every console, and I'm like,
yeah, they had the Outer Worlds 2. Which I guess. I mean, it's on PlayStation, which like a lot of people were surprised by that. I'm like, no, like this was like I didn't even blink at this point. Like this was definitely going to be on PlayStation because the Outer Worlds 1 was. But they had that this is an Xbox ad, and that was really it. I think the conflict they have, right, is like you have developer direct right after the Game Awards. Like they just decide like, let's put this big showcase of ours in January, right? Like, but that means that they typically skip the Game Awards unless they have like these far-reaching announcements like Blade from last year, right? So it's just, I
guess the Game Awards are also like, they're pretty stacked in that it's like 3 hours, so it's really hard to I guess cram everything in. It already felt like pretty packed together. Like when they were announcing some awards, it'd be like, and best art direction goes to this guy, and then okay, on to the next one. Best music and score. Yep, congratulations, get out of here. And then you know, they for some of the awards they were like boom 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 boom, and I'm like, let me absorb this, let me enjoy the moment.
Did you like it more than last year's show? Did you think like the pacing was better overall, comparatively speaking?
I don't remember too much of last year's show. I can't remember if I streamed it or like watched highlights after the fact.
You made a good choice if it was the latter, because last year was the Wrap It Up saga where they were like rushing presenters and speeches and shit. Awful. It was awful. This is your moment, but keep it like 15 seconds or less, please. Yeah, I mean, I get it. They got to keep things moving, but so Doom: The Dark Ages is definitely like that's where my brain first goes to. As for games, morbid curiosity, I like that term where it's like, I don't know. Fable. Oh,
Fable.
Okay. Interesting. I have a little more excitement where I don't know if I'd put that in morbid curiosity. What has you like, I don't know about this? Is because it's Playground, like a racing studio doing this?
I think it's just the nostalgia, like for Fable 1 and 2. Like the first Fable, I just felt like it was such a Xbox kind of game. Like it fit the brand so well of being outrageous but also like a pretty solid and also relatively short RPG. So I just have a lot of love for the first game and holding out hope, whether it's naivety or just optimism that the new Fable is going to turn around and kind of make me feel like the first game made me feel.
Yeah. I mean, that's the feeling I've been chasing for Fable. Like I actually, when I replayed Fable 2 3 years ago, I did like a video on it. I was like, yeah, this is still really good. Like this life sim kind of like you can just have kids with whoever, you can start up your own business. Like it does accomplish that. But Fable 1 had some just ridiculous choice and consequence, and like everyone who's important in that game that you meet, you can just kill. And I just love, as a KOTOR fan, I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, you're important, you're dead. You're important, you're dead. Like, I just love when a game enables that. So I'm hoping that this Fable does have that sort of like hero villain archetype strongly represented, because I feel like each entry got away from that more so. But Fable's a good pick. That for me, it's the worry about, can they do the Horizon? Like, can you go from Killzone to Horizon? Can you go from Forza to Fable, which is an even bigger jump? It's scary.
Yeah, it's always tricky when a studio is like kind of typecast into a certain genre and then they're trying to do something completely different. Yeah. But also it's concerning that I don't think we've seen any gameplay for Fable for the new one.
Just like brief snippets of like walking. No like actual moment to moment or combat. I mean, technically we saw combat. Like that first reveal people thought was CG, but it was gameplay. But it was just like swords clashing together and that was it. Like there was no actual like, oh, this is what you're going to be doing and how it'll feel. So yeah, I get that one. I feel like Fable we'll see soon. I feel like that'll be.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, that would be nice. For me, I got to jump into my morbid curiosity list since we're just on this streak here. I want to talk about Borderlands 4. That trailer was like okay to me. I was like, okay, I kind of liked it. It's grittier and more serious. I'm about that sort of stuff. But then I get to this point. We'll pause on. I'll reset. My dog's barking a ton right now. I apologize.
Oh, you got him yapping. You brought up Borderlands. He's a huge fan.
This is a game that I personally like. I love the Borderlands series, but I also made the mistake of seeing the movie. I don't know. Did you see the movie earlier this year?
No, I heard pretty bad things, and I just kind of stayed away.
So for perspective, this was a movie that I went to see with my wife, and while we were in the theater, we were the only two people there. It was like that level of DOA.
Yeah, not a good sign.
Yeah. Have you liked the past couple of Borderlands entries? Like 3, Tiny Tina? Have you played them?
So I was big on Borderlands 1. I beat that. And then I haven't played any of the recent entries. When I played Borderlands 2, I remember getting to a point where I was over leveled for the main quest. And I remember being like, is there a way to bump the difficulty up? I'm just slaughtering everything. I think I ran into this like difficulty pitfall where the game just got too easy for Borderlands 2, and that's when I stopped playing. But I never played 3, but for the Borderlands 4 trailer, it was kind of weird because the graphics didn't seem all that impressive. It kind of looked like 360 or Xbox One, like it didn't come across as next gen. It might be part of the art style, which still looked good, but I guess I was kind of hoping for
it didn't look like as big of a leap of like 2 to 3 for sure. Like 3 looked more tightened up. Yeah, like Borderlands is, I always say Borderlands 3 is the entry in the series that really dodged the bullet, pardon the pun, because like Borderlands 3 was like, in today's era of video game discourse on social media, like you have this YouTuber main villain, like the dialogue is really cringe, but like social media discourse just wasn't, I think, at that like fever pitch it's at now, where I think this game would have got crucified, but it just like missed that window narrowly. They've squeaked by, and now they're into Borderlands 4 and they're setting up for that. But yeah, this is one that like I looked at the Game Awards, I was like, okay, none of these playable characters look very exciting to me, but I just want to love Borderlands like I did when I was a teenager. But I don't know if it's like, am I getting old? Am I outgrowing this or something? I just hope it's great. But I would say this is one that I'm not, like, going into Borderlands 3, I was pumped. But Borderlands 4, I am like way more guarded than probably any other video game coming out in the near future.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like, I'll wait to see what people think. It's not something I'll probably be jumping out of my seat to play. But yeah, that's a good pick, I'd say.
What about Elden Ring Night Rain? Are we out of our seat for that one, sir?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, and I've been working on this fucking Shadow of the Erdtree review for a long time. It's been on the back burner, but spoilers, I found it to be very disappointing. I might be one of the few that really was like actually getting kind of upset at Shadows of the Erdtree, because I felt like the expansion part of it was just wasting my time. Like there's so much open empty space, and it just kind of felt like it was big for the sake of being big without actually adding anything new that, you know, but it's still like, obviously for FromSoft, and you know, a disappointment means it's still probably like an 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like,
did you have an issue with like the difficulty and how they set that stuff up and the bosses? Okay, interesting.
No. I did have problems with the difficulty because the open world was ridiculously easy. Like it was the bosses that were hard, but like the actual levels and dungeons were just a cakewalk.
Sure.
But so with that in mind, because I was kind of like disappointed with Shadows of the Erdtree, seeing Night Rain and like that moment when I realized that was the Nameless King, I'm like,
yeah,
what's he doing here?
The same reaction, dude. Yeah, there was Bloodborne.
Bro thinks he's on the team.
Yeah, like I don't know what they're cooking. Like it's like a roguelike apparently, but it's also got like Dark Souls 1, 2. It's got Bloodborne in it. I'm like, are they just like admitting this is all one interconnected universe and like actually making a game out of it now? Because I'm like one of those people who like, I'm here for the bosses and the difficulty grind, and if that's not good, then I fall off of FromSoft pretty hard. But fortunately, they've kept that interesting throughout all of their games, so I love all of them. But Elden Ring, Night Rain, like now you're bringing, like they're embracing co-op, which I'm like, how do you think that's going to play out? Because they have a notoriously bad invite system in these games, and now they're like, let's make a co-op game.
Yeah, their online functionality has always been like really, really fucking weird.
Yeah.
But when it works, it's great. It's just like I remember playing Demon Souls Remake like shortly after it came out, and just not being able to find like any invaders or nothing, because like the world tendency stuff really fucks with the online experience.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
totally fucks with it.
Yeah.
But to see them actually like kind of go more for an online focused experience, I think that's refreshing, first off. And it kind of gives you an impression that, okay, we're gonna kind of like fix these old archaic systems that are a bit outdated. They still work, but we could make them better. And I think it looks fucking awesome. I mean, the wall running and
Sekiro deflecting is there. I was like, hang on now. Like,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, crazy. Very excited for that game. I thought it looked really, really good.
I thought it was another expansion. I was streaming the Game Awards. I was watching it, and I'm like, what? But he said they were done.
Yeah,
he fucking got me again. He got me again.
I thought Miyazaki lied again, frankly. I thought he got us again, but at least he was half telling the truth. It makes sense, right? Like, there's no way after how big Elden Ring is. Like, I was so surprised they were gonna just be like, we're walking away after one DLC. I'm like, are you sure? Like 20 plus million copies.
That's ballsy. That's what they do. They're like,
same thing. Like, there's like, we're good. We just made a ton of money. We're good. I'm like, okay. So this makes sense, right?
Well, it's kind of why I respect them, because you see what happened with Call of Duty and how that's been like milked, or other franchises, Guitar Hero, Madden. We've seen what happens when franchises really like get that one title that just kicks everything off. More relevant for Call of Duty, and then they just suck out all the soul. But From Software has been pretty consistent in their like, we could do a Bloodborne PC port, probably make a lot of money. It's been a decade, but kind of done with that, we're good.
They've literally done everything but at this point. Now they're doing an Elden Ring co-op, multiplayer, Monster Hunter style game. Like, they're gonna do everything but. I thought this would be the year we got the announcement, like when the hype was really getting drummed up, like, oh, there's gonna be like big announcements, expect the Game Awards. I was like, this has to be the time Bloodborne shows up. Like, I was biting onto every juicy rumor, like, oh, Half-Life 3, sure, why not? Like, I thought this was gonna be.
You should have known better.
I should have.
Half-Life 3, man, come on.
Half-Life 3.
I get it. Like, we all want to believe, right?
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, I've been through that same song and dance for like 15 years. Every couple years, it's like, oh, this time, guys.
Yeah. Like 10th anniversary. Like, I was thinking maybe that was part of it. No insider was shutting it down. I was like, you know what? Like, why not? Like, why not this game? Why not have them close out the show? Instead, we got Naughty Dog. So there's that.
Yeah. For better or worse.
Yeah, depending
on.
How
about that game, Intergalactic? What you think about that?
I'm interested. Like, so I'm interested because I'm curious if they actually move the medium forward. Like, I was kind of studying Naughty Dog as a team, and I was like, oh yeah, when they went from like Crash to Jak, that was really significant because they were taking like a lot of the 3D platformer stuff they learned from Crash. You put it into Jak, you give them this move set, then you give them like Dark Jak, Light Jak, you give them guns, open world. Like, they just kept inching things forward. Like, the cinematic quality was there, and then Uncharted does its thing, like, just that way. Like, I remember like the train level for Uncharted 2, like this kind of way that they didn't suspend your disbelief at all. Like they just kept the illusion alive while the scene was so frantic and action packed. I've never been a big Uncharted guy, but then like The Last of Us comes around, it's like, okay, we're gonna inch the industry forward with like this new crafting survival horror kind of hybrid gameplay system with like finding little pieces of scraps, you know, across this world and putting together like nails in a bat. And so much of the industry copied that. And then like The Last of Us 2 comes around. I don't really like that game much. Like I just thought the story wasn't as good and the gameplay was like an evolved version of the original, which is fine. Like that's what a sequel does. But in the terms of like moving things forward, I'm like, Naughty Dog really didn't do that for me there. And so I'm curious with like this, now they're like new IP, sci-fi. Fede Alvarez was like visiting their studio, who's like the director of Alien Romulus, and that was a great movie. So
ooh, I love that movie.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so hang on, like there could be some horror vibes here. I thought the music in the trailer, excluding the punch it Guardians of the Galaxy moment, the actual score, I was like, this is really good. Thought the acting was good. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna read too deep into it. It's not gameplay, but if this is the idea, I would say it didn't capture me like when I first saw The Last of Us, where I was like, what is this? Give this to me right now.
Yeah.
It definitely was a level of like, hey, I'm a sci-fi geek, like guilty as charged. So if you throw something futuristic in front of me, I at least have, an eyebrow raised. I'm like, okay, let's see what you got here. But like, I wouldn't say hyped by any stretch, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it a chance, see where it goes. What about you? Were you feeling what they were putting out there?
I thought the music was good, and it was like, it looked nice as a trailer, but it didn't tap into anything with me. I don't play many Naughty Dog games, to be honest. Like I never, aside from like the Crash trilogy, which I really liked. Yeah, so for Intergalactic, I remember while I was streaming the Game Awards, they showed off like Last of Us 2 PC port, and I was like, how about you make another game? Make a new game, huh? And then they showed the trailer, and I was like, well, you know what? There you go.
Yeah.
Points for you. You're making a new game. I was like, you shut me up real quick. But it didn't really capture, or it didn't really tap into any sort of emotional connection. I actually kind of found myself being a little bored watching it.
Sure.
But again, I'm not gonna like rush to judgment because it's just a trailer and things can change a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's with Intergalactic, they did have like the product placement, which felt a little crazy, like the Sony, the Porsche, the Adidas shoes.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like, I get it if it's in the game. Kojima does this. I'm like, okay, like I can live with it. But in the reveal trailer is a little gutsy, is how I would define it.
That's a little. Are you sure you want to be jumping into product placement like right off the rip?
Yeah, like it's a little loud, and I feel like the people would be giving this game a bigger benefit of the doubt if maybe they didn't re-release the same games like twice in a row with like quick remasters and call it a day. Like I think they would be given a little bit more grace right now with Intergalactic than I see they're getting online. Like they had to disable comments on their trailer. I'm like, man, guys kind of did it to yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like, when did Last of Us 2 Remastered come out? So how do you remaster a game that's like fucking 2 years old? What do you even do?
When that PC version got announced, I forgot it was a thing. I was like, I said, this is actually the subtitle? I was a little surprised. I was like, I feel like I knew about this, but at the same time, like Sony's remastered, like they just did Horizon this past year. I'm like, I don't know. I can't keep up. They keep remastering these games with like quick little $10 upgrades and calling it a day. Naughty Dog's definitely been the most guilty of it. So I'm hoping for Intergalactic, but no doubt that if you miss this game at its launch, you'll get it on like remastered in like 2 years. It's like Atlas.
Yeah.
Like Atlas always re-releases like Persona and then Golden, right? It's like you already know you're gonna get a new version of a Naughty Dog game at some point. At least that's what they've established for themselves, which people are not happy with.
It doesn't like the Golden Persona version have like extra levels or expansions?
Oh yeah. New content, new social links. Oh, don't get me started, bro. Oh yeah, like
those JRPGs, man.
Yeah.
They never fucking end. Yeah. They never end.
They're beautiful. I love them dearly. Speaking of, how do you feel about Crimson Desert? This one to me is insane. Like this is when I bought my Xbox Series X, when I bought my PS5. This game is what I kind of thought of. I was like, oh, this kind of does everything. Like, the scale is insane. The combat's like really frantic. It doesn't look like there's any dip in production quality. It's got a little bit of Breath of the Wild in it, a little bit of Assassin's Creed in it. Like, as you look at it, you'll see it's like a do everything game. And they put like an hour of gameplay out before this trailer that gave it like a late 2025 date. And I was like, dude, this looks amazing. Like,
yeah, I mean, when you're watching stuff live and you're streaming it and you're interacting with your audience, you don't always like hard focus on what you're seeing.
Yeah. I don't stream anymore for a reason.
Yeah,
I was never paying attention.
Yeah, no, this looks intriguing, and it's nice to see new IPs or new franchises that you're like, man, what the fuck is that? Like flying a drag around these floating cities. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. I could see myself trying that out.
Yeah, like that's one of my most anticipated. It looks really good.
There is that game Frag Punk.
Oh yeah.
Which is like FPS game, but like everybody gets some kind of like cheat codes that you can activate for like big head mode, little head mode, or flip the map upside down. Like that shit was like, cheat codes used to be all the rage back in the day, you know, and then they just kind of like disappeared because people found out how to use the internet and all that. And you know, they stopped like printing guides, or maybe they still print guides, but that just seemed like a really unique FPS game that I'll be like, okay, I'll try that out when it comes out.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I'm like, I've cooled off on every kind of competitive upcoming thing because of Marvel Rivals and like my current fixation on that game. Like I've put a ton of hours into it already. Like I've had so much fun with it. And so when I look at Frag Punk, like when it was revealed a while ago, and now it got like a date, I think it's in March, but when it was first revealed, I was like, oh nice, looks cool, I'll totally be there. Now that I'm like totally hooked by Marvel Rivals, I'm like, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But
we'll see where you're at in a couple months, because I totally feel the same way, bro. It's rough out here for us gaming content creators.
It really is.
You know how tough it is. Marvel Rivals, new Helldivers update. Okay, the Game Awards just happened.
Yeah.
All right, and Black Ops 6 has AI art in it that I had to cover that bullshit now.
Oh no, did it really? Oh no.
Path of Exile 2, man. There's too many games. I don't have time to play them all.
I have the same problem. I've like December completely ravaged my schedule. Like I had this plan, like I'm gonna finish Metaphor, I'm gonna try Batman Arkham Shadow on VR. Like I laid out this whole roadmap for myself, and like Marvel Rivals came out, Path of Exile came out. I haven't tried Path of Exile 2 yet, but like Marvel Rivals came out, I was like, oh, this is incredible, and like just put like 30 hours into it now. I'm just like, God, dude, like this game is awesome. It all comes down to the matter, right? The second they make a change that I don't like is when I start to fade. So in Frag Punk's favor, if that happens around March, I'll be checking it out. But you make a good point about the cheat codes, because like that used to be such a big thing to chase when I was like a kid. I mean, we were talking about Jak and Daxter earlier, and I remember like you collect the precursor orbs in that game and you'd unlock like invincibility, and like nowadays the new version of invincibility is like the safe mode difficulty, and it's like I have too big of an ego now to play on that difficulty. It's like not satisfying to be invincible, to have invulnerability. Like, so I like the idea of a first-person shooter kind of built around that mentality, though. Like I saw the big head mode or a small head mode, and they missed a shot. Like that was really cool. So it's got a cool idea.
It also speaks to a more like casual kind of vibe, because and that's why I like Marvel Rivals, because right now it kind of feels like base Overwatch, obviously with more characters and way more abilities, but there's like we're in that phase of dealing with the dumb unbalanced bullshit, and it's great. It's great. Because every character is kind of broken in some way. You can kind of break them, but healing is also super overpowered in Marvel Rivals in a good way.
Yeah, it's just the worst when you're like fighting against an Iron Fist who's getting healed exclusively, and he's just assaulting your back line of squishy targets. It's like a personal hell for me.
yeah, you gotta coordinate with the team. That guy shows up in a back line, he's priority number one. But that's kind of what I like when I look at Frag Punk. Is it feels like a casual like, hey, we're just gonna fuck around. You got these cheat codes. Some of it's probably gonna be broken and stupid, and you know, it's not gonna be like tailor-made for a ultra competitive environment, which I think is the right way to go. So yeah, Frag Punk is one of those games. Also Mecha Break. Let me ask you this, Matt.
Let's hear.
I have an opinion. I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's pretty accurate, but I don't think there are any bad mech games.
I have to admit my deficiency here, good sir. I never played Mech Assault, which is crazy.
It was good.
Yeah, like I know there's like Mech Warrior. Mecha Break, was that? I gotta look this up. Was that the crazy ass like high speed? Like they announced a beta for it or something.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think they had you could transform your robot into like a lion or some shit.
Yes, I'm looking at this now. How do you keep track of all of this action is my question looking at it. It looks really good.
Well, that's the neat part. You don't. You just it's buttons. Like going to a rave, man. You just enjoy the lasers and move fast and shoot and that's
a good way of putting it.
I mean, think about Titanfall. Titanfall is technically a mech game, you know?
That's it. No bad mech games. I did play that mech game. I don't want to say that's a hot take. Armored Core, I am deficient in as well. I have to admit, I'm just really bad with these mech games. Like, yeah, I think it's because growing up, when it came to mech games, I have this weird thing where, like, okay, I remember playing. This is a really obscure poll. Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I remember
I know
that game. Yeah, it was like a vehicle-based game. And I was like, fuck this, man. And
that game had fucked up controls.
Yes, it did.
Like when you're on foot. You remember that?
And so that's the levels I always played, was the on foot ones, or I did like the Geonosis Academy, and I was like, yeah, this is better. And I literally exclusively played that. I remember in like Battlefield when I like first discovered it with like Bad Company 2. I never was like the engineer, never got in the vehicles. I was always just like blowing shit up, boots on the ground. Like, I don't know what got placed into me as a kid that made me so anti like mech vehicle, like I have to do it myself. But I think that's why I miss so many mech games, because I just like never want to be in the vehicle. I'm like, is it too easy? Is that the idea? Is it overpowered? I don't know. But I never got drawn to that stuff. But now I just have this curiosity because of Mecha Break. This game looks awesome.
It does. It looks outrageous. There's lasers everywhere. You can barely see what's going on, and that's the way I like it with mech games. Just pure chaos.
Did you play Armored Core 6? Was that like one that you went through?
I played it a bit. I didn't beat it. I thought about doing a video, but it's one of those games where it's like, you know, something else came up like pretty shortly after. And so, you know, as much as you'd like to play every game all the way and beat it and make the best perfect review or whatever, sometimes you like something just comes up. It's a game I wish I put more time into, but sadly didn't.
Yeah, I never played it. I think that was August last year. So I want to say that was when Baldur's Gate 3 was coming out and Starfield was coming out, and there was just so much stuff that I was interested dropping at the same time. And Liza P came out that month. I was like, yeah, I'm a little wrapped up for another FromSoft game at this moment.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough out here.
What is your take on Mafia? Have you played the Mafia games before?
I have not. Never played them. Know next to nothing about them, so I wouldn't have much input on that.
I have them in my morbid curiosity folder. Mafia: The Old Country got a good trailer at the Game Awards, and I like Hangar 13. It's just that Mafia has really struggled with like its open world identity, because like Mafia 1 and 2 were set in open worlds that were really cool, but they were literally like, it's not like there was any side objectives or any dynamic events. It was just literally like a holder for these missions. And so it's like very effective, but it's like a 12-hour open world game. It's like it's really different. Like, yeah, Mafia 2 is incredible. Yeah, you should definitely try this series. You would love it, I think. But Mafia 3, yeah, Mafia 3 is where it gets a little weird, because the complaint with Mafia 2 is like, man, I love these characters. I want to spend more time with them. Why isn't there any side content? So Mafia 3 basically does the Ubisoft structure of like, take out all of the lieutenants in this district and then get to the big bad in this district. And once you knock them all down, then the story moves forward. And so pretty much that was their version of side content, but the side content was really mandatory to move the story forward.
So it just kind of slowed the game down.
Literally. And so it's a really good game otherwise, like the time period they capture. The main protagonist is great. The performances are great. Like, it's a really good game otherwise, but it's got problems with its open world. And I'm like, what are they going to do now with Old Country? Which looks to me like they pretty much said like, oh, Red Dead but Mafia would be interesting. Let's go for it. I saw you were just playing Red Dead 2 for the first time, right?
Yeah. That was earlier this year. Yeah.
So yeah, Mafia: The Old Country looks solid, but I think if you want to just cold dive into the series, like, oh, I want to beat something in like 12 hours, play Mafia 2. It'll be a wrap for you. I guarantee you'll be like, I need more of this. It's so good.
There's also the struggle of I'm complaining on it, but I'm like, I'm not being serious when I say like we got it tough out here. But like whenever I play a new game, a couple things happen. Number one, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking like, okay, am I going to be able to make a video out of this? Like or am I just like solely just enjoying myself, time played? It's kind of hard to detach from that.
Sure.
But then there's also that idea of like, well, do I risk playing this game and putting time into it that I may not like? Do I go play fucking like Knights of the Old Republic or Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for the 20th time? Like something I know I like.
Yeah, all reliable.
But if you give Mafia a glowing recommendation, then I might check it out sometime. Assuming my schedule's not too packed.
Yeah, I put it in the safe camp of like you're a busy man too. Hey man, like 12 hours, like it's one of those things where if like you got that downtime and you think of that moment, that's where it's a good time to like you pick it up and just see where it takes you. I think pretty immediately you'll know if you like it or not, because since it's so short, kind of puts all its cards on the table immediately. Like the things that you want to know about the game, like what's the action like, what's the pace like, what's the performance like, all that stuff. You'll know pretty immediately.
Well, that's nice to have cards on the table.
Like what other games coming out in 2025? I like asked you that in a million different ways. What other games coming out in 2025 are you looking at right now beyond what we've discussed thus far?
I mean, is Witcher 4 coming out 2025? Did they give a year on that, or was that 2026?
That's got to be like, I'm gonna go with like 27. They literally had like an unannounced GeForce GPU running that thing, so I feel like that's gotta be.
Did you notice that too? The text at the bottom. I was like,
that's got to be some next level shit right there. Like that has to be a ways away. And what they just said it entered full production recently. So, and like they've said that like, oh, the gap's going to be closer because we're going to pre-produce for longer. But I still think like it's got to be late 2026, the soonest. They, especially after Cyberpunk, right? You have to imagine they don't want to rush this out. Like they don't want to do it themselves. So. Yeah.
They apparently, I mean, I never played Phantom Liberty. That was something I also never got around to doing. I think because I like by the end of my playthrough with Cyberpunk, like when it was still broken and fucked up, I was like actually pissed at the game. Like I hated spending time in it.
Sure.
Like for my review. Yeah. So when Phantom Liberty came out, I just was like, yeah, maybe I'll get around to that, and then never did. I probably should, but CD Projekt Red seems to be on their redemption arc. Because that was a pretty big fuck up. It was really
let's put it lightly
big. Yeah, I mean all that hype, but they turned it around. They did, and you got to give them props where it's due. But I felt that Witcher 4 trailer was very atmospheric and dark, and like just really nailed the Witcher vibe completely.
Yeah. Are you more of a Witcher fan, you would say, than I mean, based on what you just said about Cyberpunk, it might be a rhetorical question, but have you played like a lot more Witcher than Cyberpunk?
Witcher 3 is one of those games where you play it for like 60 hours and then you're like, okay, so how close am I to the end? And you're like 25% and you're like, fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never beat it.
Oh,
but
wow.
I know it was so long. And like all the side quests are so good, and there's so many different options for main quests and I think at one point, kind of same thing with Borderlands 2, I was playing it on the hardest difficulty, and I think I just got to a point where, I could just button mash my way through it. It felt like I didn't really have to strategize.
Sure.
So like anytime a game stops being difficult, even if it's like bullshit difficulty, it's really hard to get me back in if I've been playing and I'm just steamrolling everything, for hours.
I just did a video on The Witcher 4, like going over some of the details, and it looks like they're taking a lot of the lessons from Cyberpunk, like its gameplay design, and packing it into The Witcher. They're like, yeah, we kind of look at how like Cyberpunk you can do like, shooting or melee, or do I want a quick hack and all this other stuff, and we're now like bringing that sort of philosophy to Witcher, and I'm like, okay, so it's probably not just going to be like one note. Are you using your steel sword or your silver sword? And oh, you're a creature, okay, it's probably the silver sword, and so on. Where I think like there might be more stealth options, or at least more like gadgetry, if you will, that you can use, or potions. I don't know. Like it seems like they're going
a
little bit wider, which has me excited because I struggle to replay The Witcher. Like I really loved it my first time through. I had a second time through. I was like, this is still great, but like the combat's really faded for me. And anytime I pick it up now, I'm like, I'm done. I just can't do it anymore. It's I don't know. It's so tough for me to play though. It's so tough for me to get into. But I think it is because of what you said with the combat. I know on like the Death March difficulty, apparently this game's like a personal hell for people then. So it goes to the other extreme.
Yeah. I think at a certain point, like I upped the difficulty because in the early game, it's like you get 1 or 2 tapped, and it's like ridiculously hard at that point. But I think Witcher 3 is like, because the game is so long and you're there mostly for the story, at a certain point, the actual gameplay kind of becomes a little bit monotonous. Or it turns into sort of monotonous button masher. I mean, it's still great, but like you said, it's sometimes it's hard to keep playing. When you feel like you're just going through the motions in most fights.
That actually kind of brings me into one of the games I'm really pumped for, because I think
let's hear it.
A similar kind of problem. It's the Outer Worlds 2. I love me, as you know, a good Obsidian game, right? Like they're like one of my favorite developers. I think the Outer Worlds 1 is superb. Like I realize it's become a divisive game. Like, no, this shit sucks. But I'm like, no, I think it's really good. Like the choice and consequence, the DLC, like really good. But then with the Outer Worlds 2, or I'm sorry, 1, get to the combat. And it really is turn off your brain, aim, press the right trigger, done. No real variety or engagement. And the Outer Worlds 2 gets this big trailer at the Game Awards, and I'm like, oh my god, they like loaded this thing up with like tons of crazy weapons and crazy enemy types. Like I hope that the combat is better in this game, because I already know, like I feel like I could just take it to the bank, like, yeah, this is gonna be a great game to explore and to talk to people in and to be who I want to be. But like, please, especially with the last DLC, they did a good job of like introducing new enemy types and stuff that challenge you to play a little differently, like a little more mobile even. I hope the Outer Worlds 2 is a game that really delivers. I mean, Obsidian doing 2 games in the same year is insane to me. Like they're doing Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 in like they're bookending the year. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, especially developers are constantly telling us like, oh man, these games take so long to make, you know, you like, and I have sympathy for that sort of like cycle and what it brings with it, and how these things need to be meticulously made. But then you have Obsidian who's like, in 2022 we dropped 2 games at once. In 2025 we're going to drop 2 massive RPGs in the same year. I think what they're doing is really impressive. It kind of reminds me a lot of Insomniac. So like, I'm just keen on whatever they're doing. But the Outer Worlds 2 I thought looked really good. I don't know if you felt the same way or if you're like a fan of what Outer Worlds does, but I thought Outer Worlds 2 looked awesome.
Yeah, man, they're double dipping right now, which is ballsy. I did think it was kind of funny, like when they were showing Outer Worlds 2, and it was like, from the creators of Knights of the Old Republic 2, and I'm like, they're still giving it some love. It's like, I'm sure most people who worked on that are like not at the studio anymore, but but that triggered my monkey brain, my neuron activation. I was like, KOTOR 2 mentioned.
Yeah, let's go. I had the same feeling, because my heart dropped, because one of my predictions for the show was like, can they bring back KOTOR remake? I was like, can they do it? And then I saw that logo. I was like, oh shit! I was like, wait, this is a totally different game. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, so I never played the Outer Worlds. I had some close buddies of mine who would just pester me incessantly to play it, and I'm like, you mean the Outer Wilds? And they're like, no, the Outer Worlds. I kept getting those 2 mixed up. But,
Outer Wilds I dropped. I did not have fun with Outer Wilds. Like I got 10 hours in. I don't know if you played it, but I got 10 hours in. I was like, it's like, I can't do this. To be fair, I was playing on Switch,
and the names were too similar, so I didn't know which one to pick. And I'm super indecisive that way.
They came out at the same time, I think, too. Like, it was really weird.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. But I mean, Obsidian has a pretty good track record. I mean, what was their, besides Outer Worlds, what was their last game before that?
Technically Grounded. If we're looking at like Obsidian proper, was it New Vegas? No, there's gotta be something in between. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They did like New Vegas. They did Alpha Protocol. That's a throwback.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they did South Park Stick of Truth. That's what I think I'm forgetting. That game's great.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure, but I don't think Obsidian has had any like major colossal blunders, at least in the company's history. So as long as they still have that that image in my head, then I might be willing to check it out. Yeah. I thought the guns looked pretty cool, and the universe was interesting. I also liked the humor behind the trailer. It almost kind of seemed like they were making fun of Starfield or Todd Howard.
It's just so crazy because they want to work on Fallout so badly, and they're like, let's just keep making fun of the guy who's gonna give us the thumbs up on this.
Yeah,
like they said, well, for the makers of Fallout 3 Part 2.
yeah. That was pretty funny. I'll keep my eyes on that. I think big games, definitely Elden Ring, Night Rain, Witcher 4. That's going to be way out there.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed at the Game Awards with the last announcement. I know it's kind of like Naughty Dog is big, but I've never been too big into their games. So Intergalactic didn't entirely speak to my soul. Yeah. But I was also surprised the Helldivers 2 Illuminate, like when they're like, it's out now. I was like, fuck, I'm still streaming the Game Awards. Can I go, please?
So have you played a lot of Helldivers 2? I played like very little of it in the scheme of things. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that an offensive question? I didn't mean to say anything.
L in the chat. Type L, please. L in the comment section. This is crazy.
Oh no.
No. I love Helldivers 2. It's like the ultimate bro bonding game. Because I'm also a huge fan of Left 4 Dead 2, Vermintide 2. Any co-op game where it's like me and 3 buddies are complete dumbasses in like a PvE situation. That I always love that, where you like revive each other, heal each other, support each other, that kind of thing, and you're tackling this insurmountable challenge. I played a lot of it, and I thought it was a masterpiece. So I have high praise to sing for it. And it's just so unfortunate, the whole Sony debacle unlisted it from all those countries. And they're like, we got a good thing going. Let's screw it up.
I know, I did see that.
Wait, you guys want to lose money?
Yeah, there's a rumor that was going to come to Xbox at some point. I was like, they must be getting desperate if that's actually what's happening. What does that new update include? Because I don't know. I played Helldivers 1. So I played it when it was like a twin stick shooter. Like that's what I knew Helldivers for. And this like evolution, I was like, this is pretty good. And I like put it down and it just blew up. I was like, is it me or is it the children who are out of touch? Certainly it's not.
No, it's the children who are wrong. Wait, what was your question?
What was the update? Like what did it include?
So you remember in Helldivers 1, I didn't play it, but there was that long rumored faction, the Illuminate.
Okay.
And they added those back in, as well as I'm assuming like a new battle pass and probably some new weapons. There was like a warthog in the trailer. You remember that?
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
Co-op vehicles. That's what the game was missing. Like, again, you're not a big vehicle guy, but you got to admit, getting in a warthog with some buddies and just like.
Hey, Halo still hits for me.
Okay.
Yeah, we love a little Halo. We love a little Bungie Halo, I should say.
There's really not too many games though that have like cooperative vehicles. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like it's hard to get right, or it's just they just don't do it. It's either like single passenger or just infantry combat.
Yeah. Like I think Gears did it. Borderlands technically has it, but it's like very, very basic, very simple.
Yeah, and if they do have it, it's usually pretty bare bones. But I was honestly looking. I didn't expect a major Helldivers 2 update at the Game Awards, but if that was coming out in 2025, that would be on one of my most still anticipated.
Counts, no doubt, it's still going to be getting updates. So, and also there's so much shit coming out that like. Obviously, these types of videos are great to put things on people's radar, right? Like, just what did I miss? And like this month, especially as we've said many times, is like such a ridiculous month that it's like, yeah, this might be just something that flew under someone's radar. They can go and check out, like, oh right, I have to do that. Yeah, it flew under my radar actually. I didn't realize it was coming out next year, or apparently it is. Have you seen this mouse game, Mouse PI for Hire? It's like the 1930s Cuphead style first person shooter.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. This game looks insane, and it's under my morbid curiosity list in that I look at it and go, okay, this looks really, really crazy. And I feel like there's got to be a catch.
The game actually plays like that. Yeah. That's kind of where my mind was going. Like, but there wasn't really a catch with Cuphead. It played exactly how it looked in those trailers.
Yeah.
So if it plays like this is just one of those games that immediately catches your eye. You see it and you're like, I don't think I've ever seen a game like that.
Literally.
It almost looks like those old school Doom games.
Yes.
But like it intentionally trying to replicate that in a like 1930s style. Plus I also sim for anything that bears even the slightest resemblance to LA Noire and PI, private investigator. Yeah, let's solve some crimes.
I
just love that whole noir.
So I apologize, but
hey, you know what? Neither did I actually.
Oh.
But I love the game. It's just
I just remember finding the Easter egg for the Red Dead hat. For me, I remember buying that in high school, and I was when it's so like trivial in the scheme of things. Because nowadays I would kill for something like an LA Noire, but at the time when it came out, I was so disappointed that like I couldn't just like do side quests, and I couldn't like just take out my gun and do whatever the hell I wanted. Like the game was super on rest. In fact, it was very structured like Mafia. It was like you could do certain things at certain times, but that's like it's very confined despite being open world. But yeah, LA Noire, man, that's a callback. I forget about that game all the time.
Yeah, so does Rockstar. Rockstar's another one of those like, you know what? Let's actually not milk this, even though we probably should at this point. Like Bully.
Yeah, remember that? I was about to say that's me with Bully, bro. I'm like, I'm not. How you feel about Naughty Dog is it sounds like that's how I feel about Rockstar. Like I'm very indifferent to a lot of Rockstar stuff, as much as I think they're great. I don't disrespect them and what they do. I just like, yeah, it doesn't like light my fire with excitement as it typically like games like a BioWare once did, for example. Bully for me though was like the game that as a kid I was like, I can't get enough of this, bro, because I don't know if it's just like the action of like I would never be the bully, but I get to be the bully, and I get to like throw teachers in lockers and just see if I can like escape school security and shooting potato guns at people and giving wedgies. I'm like, this is so immature. I love this. Like I would kill for a new Bully. Like there's part of me that would be more excited about a Bully 2 than on GTA 6 deep down. I'm like, this is just how I feel, man. I'm sorry if everyone hates that, but this is just how I feel. Like Bully is amazing. Like there's that one mission. It's like a Christmas mission. I think it's only in the Scholarship Edition, where you're just beating up like a bunch of elves on Christmas Day as part of like a celebration for the holiday. And I just thought it was the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've played it, but I just, there's things about games like maybe you played them for, I don't know, 10 hours total when you're in like middle school or whatever, but it still sticks with you.
Yeah.
Because like whatever you played of it, you're like, man, that was pretty fun and that was unique and different.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point on the mouse PI for hire, because I kind of forgot about that.
It's easy to forget because it's like that game that you see goes viral on like TikTok or Instagram, and you're like, yeah, that'll like never come to fruition. Like this is definitely like someone just made like a 10-minute demo. It was like, hey, check this out, and like that's it. But now it's like a full game apparently. It's coming out next year. I'm like, okay.
Well, the day before has had some repercussions. So you gotta look at these things and be like, is this gonna be a real video game?
Yeah. I'm very excited for. I got only a couple more games on my list personally. I'm very excited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I think this looks really good. Like that focus on realism, sword combat, the kind of evolution of the first game in the right ways. Like, okay, we're gonna make the combat more accessible, but we're going to allow you to like disguise yourself and like infiltrate. Like this is from the same creator of funny enough Mafia. Like his big thing is immersion. Like Mafia has speed limits that you should follow or the cops will come after you. Kingdom Come Deliverance forces you to learn how to read. So I'm like, okay, what does 2 make me do? Like what dedication to realism does this game have? And so I'm just keen to learn more about that, but also again just explore like a very rich open world. That
also open medieval world too.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if they got magic or anything in this, but it would be kind of cool if. Yeah, yeah. So that makes it kind of unique because these fantasy settings are like medieval. So like they always got some kind of magic, or whether it's lyrium or the Witcher's signs, or it's always something. So to like have a game like this trailer looks pretty good. Where there's no like sort of magic element, it's like more realistic, medieval wise. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you have any other games on your list. I got one more.
Well, you did remind me of one game that has been on my radar. Have you heard of Kingmakers?
No. What is this?
No.
Kingmakers. Hang on.
Yeah.
Give me the play-by-play.
So similar medieval setting, but there's time travel.
Oh, what the hell?
You should honestly experience the trailer for yourself.
I'm experiencing it right now. Good lord.
Yeah.
I see a shotgun.
Yes.
I see a vehicle. He is. Oh my god, this is insane. He just drove a Corvette into a castle.
Your brain doesn't know what to do right now.
Yeah, this is actually absurd. Oh man, he's shooting horses. He's shooting grenade launchers down into like
medieval battle lines.
Yeah, there's literally carpet bombing happening in like medieval battle. This is absurd.
I think there's a helicopter too that flies by.
RPGs. This is ridiculous. How'd you find this? I've never heard of this.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. It might have been like a tweet or a Reddit post or something.
Yeah, dude. This is fully destructible environments. Like he's driving through barns and houses and they're all falling down in real time.
And it's like Dynasty Warriors. Speaking of which, what happened to Dynasty Warriors, by the way?
They got a new one coming out soon. Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one. It looks really good.
I didn't
actually.
even know that.
Yeah, it's like way more cinematic. Like it looks really good. You should check it out.
I should. But that like Dynasty Warriors of like, okay, there's 1,000 guys on the screen and they're all fighting and like time travel and cars, medieval and shotguns and grenade. It's like my brain didn't know how to process this. I've never seen this before, but it looks so unique.
I was gonna say I've never seen anything like this.
It looks like it's probably an indie game. I'm pretty sure like developed by an indie studio, but it still looks really good.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. This just looks like completely chaotic.
Yeah, keep that one on your radar, folks. Kingmakers.
That's a good one. I can't match that. Because my next one is just like such a simpleton pick, but it's one that I just had. It's a guilty pleasure series for me. It's Sniper Elite Resistance. I love the Sniper Elite series. Like I really love like the X-ray cam. Like what game can you shoot someone in the nuts and just like the game actually respects that and shows that, like it actually shows the X-ray cam and the nuts pop. I'm like, this is crazy, man. Like whoever came up with this at Rebellion is a sick fuck, but it's awesome. And so like anytime one of these games comes around, I'm always interested. I always play. They don't shake it up too much. And I kind of, again, it's like cozy food. Sniper Elite has they introduced a really cool mechanic. It's literally just invading from Dark Souls, but now it's on like these massive Hitman-like mission maps. So as you're like going around trying to take out your target, a sniper will literally invade your map and try to counter snipe you. And it's like another player online. It's really cool.
That's really cool.
It's badass. And so, yeah, I'm like, I think it's a slept on series at this point, and Resistance is coming around, and I think we're going back to Italy again. I'm like, whatever, dude. I've played all of these games at this point, so I'm for whatever they're doing. And I think this is coming out in Game Pass as well at the end of January. Like, it's always co-op. Like, it's just, again, quietly one of those really reliable series. Like, you're never going to get, like, a 9, 10 out of 10 experience. But, like, if you just enjoy sniping and deep mechanics and just hilarious stealth, like, and kind of Hitman design in a way, like, you'll love Sniper Elite. Like, it's really cool. I really, really am looking forward to that one, though. That's one of my first ones I'm looking forward to at the top of the year.
Okay, that's a pretty bold pick. I never played the Sniper Elite series. I think just because maybe the title sounds a bit generic.
It is.
Like, yeah, it's, you know, it is what it is. I've heard good things, but you know, there's that mission in COD 4, all gillied up, you know. Anytime Call of Duty has like those dedicated like sniper sections where they really kind of they really go full force on that whole stealth aspect, you know, sneaking through and then setting up, lining up the shot, accounting for wind resistance or whatever. Like, I do love those kind of moments in Call of Duty when they do them. So it could be something that's up my alley.
Yeah, dude. I think it's like legitimately a guilty pleasure series. It's funny because you bring up like the bad name, and there's like a sniper game war that was happening at one point. I don't know if it's as relevant nowadays, but there was Sniper Elite and there was Sniper Ghost Warrior. And I remember one time I talked some shit on Sniper Ghost Warrior, and like they have this very small dedicated fan base that came for my ass when I was in college. Like, I remember the comment section would be like, "Fuck you, bro." I'm like, what? I was like, who actually likes this series? They're like, my dad plays it. He thinks it's great. I'm like, okay. But and then I go like see the Sniper Elite has their own community, and these two fan bases would like just go back and forth against each other. If anyone can let me know down below if Sniper Ghost Warrior is still a thing, I'd love to know, because I need to know if the Sniper Wars continue on to this day or if they've cooled off. But Sniper
Elite
hope they looks awesome.
I kind of hope they have. I love this idea of this kind of like niche, or I should say more niche FPS genre. And there's like 2 games and there's 2 warring sets of snipers. Like that's an intense rivalry right there. Like, let's fan the flames.
Yeah,
what you should do is you should invade their respective forums and then just talk shit about the game on that forum, and then just keep fanning the flames and going back and forth.
just ruin sniper games for everyone.
There was that. I was about to be like, yeah, just like Littlefinger, and then I remembered there's that Game of Thrones game they announced.
Oh yeah, that looked kind of good. I think it's a mobile game though. I don't know. Like,
I heard that, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like Weezer when they wrote "Say It Ain't So."
I was talking it up in my reaction video. I was like, yeah, this looks great. People were like, wait till Maddie finds out it's a mobile game. I was like, but it kind of doesn't look bad. Damn. Yeah, they got me, man.
I mean, the graphics looked pretty good for a mobile game, but for like a PC or console, I was kind of like, it doesn't look look like next gen, but
yeah.
And it got Jon Snow, and I was shouting during my stream. I was like, they're gonna fix the last season finally. They're gonna fix it in a video game. That's the only way they can, because George ain't finishing the books.
That's true.
Are you crazy? This is our one out to retcon the end of Game of Thrones.
You have to wonder if that's what they might try. I never finished the series. I got to season 6, and then I was told you should stop. In fact, it was insistent upon me. You need to stop. This is just, you're storming to heartbreak.
Well, it's kind of one of those things, like, you have to see how it ends. You have to understand where you have to feel the frustration as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I realized.
Or at least see what you think about it, because it's probably one of the most like divisive endings for any series ever. Like even Mass Effect 3, I feel like the ending to that doesn't even hold a candle to the discourse around Game of Thrones. Well, okay, a little over exaggerating, but like comparatively, like the Game of Thrones discourse, it's still like going on. Like there's still people talking shit about its ending, and that was what, like 4 or 5 years ago.
The problem is I've dug myself into a hole, right? I get to this 6th season, I stop. Now I'm so far away that I had to start from the beginning, knowing that at the end awaits something that I might not like. And that is a tough sell for such a long show that I've already seen 75% of. It's like, do I do a recap? But then it's like, do I rob myself of what is like some of the best television you could watch in those first 4 seasons, like up until the red wedding and everything? I'm like, what do? I don't know. But that game looks good. I'm like, yeah, that might give me the fever. You know, they had the music and everything. I was like, they got the character models look solid. I was like, okay. Fooled me with the mobile thing. I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing any gotcha.
They got me too, man.
Yeah.
They got me.
Yeah. So it looks solid, but we'll see. It's definitely like, I call it low prio. Like it's not high on the list, but if I have some time, maybe I'll dip my toe in the pool, see what's going on there.
Yeah, and it could be one of those games. I mean, if it's a mobile game, it might not, but there's always the possibility where, like you say, it's low priority. But if it just kind of like blows up in the zeitgeist, like Helldivers 2, it might be one of those games you drop what you're doing and you're like, okay, I got to see what everybody's talking about, going crazy for.
Yep, hype be like that, unfortunately. Any other games you're morbidly curious about, you're looking forward to in 2025? Or do we wrap this up, bro?
I think we wrapped this up. Dude, I totally forgot there's the Indiana Jones game. I still haven't even tried that out.
It's really good. It's really good. I loved it. I was lucky enough to review it, so I at least I have that behind me, and I can confidently at least say, like, I just have a couple of games left to finish before I feel good about my 2024 slate as we sit down and record this. But fuck, man, that game is awesome. Like, I really loved my time with it. It was like the perfect blend of stealth and Dishonored in an Indiana Jones game. It was absurd, but it was not what I expected, and it really delivered. You should, if you can make the time with everything else I've recommended to you.
Right? Yeah, that might be one of those games I try out in like a month or two. I mean, they had me at Choo Choo.
Yeah,
you know, that's where they had me there. It's like, I'm sold.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, it has been awesome doing this with you. I mean, I appreciate you coming on, being a part of this. This is an amazing chat. Everyone probably already knows who you are, but in case someone's like, hey, I love the Act Man, I want to know more about him. For the people watching this on my channel, because I know it's going up on your other channel, but for those who want to know about you on my channel, where can they find you?
You can find me at The Act Man on YouTube and Twitter, all the respective socials. Yeah, you can just look up Act Man. I got a second channel called Act Man TV that I upload to rather infrequently. But it's because of that perfectionism, you know, that just...
Yep, it hurts.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I've had a blast. Like, I've watched your stuff for a long time, and
Thank you.
I always appreciate your perspective on things, and it's always reasonable and grounded, and not too like brutally offensive, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we live in a day and age. I appreciate you saying that. I feel like we live in a day and age where people like just are so matter of fact that they're assholes, and I'm like, and they're like, well, I'm just telling the truth, bro. I'm like, no, you can be a dick and honest at the same time. Like, these things do exist. So I appreciate you saying that, because I'm like, I try to walk the line of like, obviously we serve audience first. That's the most important thing. But I'm like, for the developers who end up watching this and need to take some lessons away, like, I don't want them to be like, fuck this guy, you know? Like,
yeah,
you want to have some level of like, let's keep the dialogue open, right? So I appreciate you saying that. I've obviously been a big fan of yours for years, dude. So this is just awesome to have you here.
I appreciate that.
And just I've waxed poetic about, I think, your presentation, your editing skills, the way you talk about games is just again, like, really in depth on a level I envy. So I'm just like, dude, this is awesome to just have the chance to shoot the breeze with you about some games coming up in 2025. So, ladies and gentlemen,
likewise.
We hope you all enjoyed this. Again, links down below for everything Act Man related if you want to check it out. Thank you for joining me again, dude. And we'll catch you all in whatever we do next. Peace out.
Peace.